I'm Wendy Stewart, and I'm the model with a mission. According to the Rainforest Action Network, 78 million acres of land are disappearing annually because of the deforestation that's happening all over the world. Costa Rica is particularly known for all the wonderful conservation efforts they have going on, but they too have their problems. On my drive here, I was really shocked from when I came here 12 years ago at the amount of hotels and condominiums going up along the beach. All of this affects all of the animals and all of the plants which depend on each other to survive in this world. So you have to wonder, what can each one of us do? I came up with the idea of Model with a Mission as my way to go around the world and tell a story about all these very unique people I've met that you may have never heard of. They might not be people that you see on TV or have books written about them or any kind of article, and yet are making a huge difference in the ecology of the world. They are what I call the keepers of the green. Oh, she's nasty, Ellen. I would be really careful. There's nothing to stop her from springing at the camera. I am outside of Quepos in a very little known sanctuary called Silencia. It was started by the farmers in the area. It's supported by the government. All of the monkeys here at Silencia that are in this enclosure have some kind of issue. One of them is brain damage. Some of them have a particular sickness where they can't be released into the wild again. So they keep them here as a troop. It is not easy to keep these animals in captivity. People don't realize the amount of work that goes into having one of these. It's purely a volunteer project, and there weren't many volunteers there at all. The diet that the animals were getting there was questionable. All the spider monkeys looked like they had these giant bellies, like they were getting ready to give birth. We actually did hear that people have been bitten there, and it's no surprise at all because you've got 2 monkeys running the zoo there. You really had to see this to believe it. When the project started, I'm sure everybody's heart was in the right place, but at this point, you know, there's nobody really presenting any kind of criteria to run these places, so people do whatever it is they can. I'm in Quepos at the Kids Saving the Rainforest Sanctuary, and I'm with Barbara Thompson, who is the official animal caretaker. When you get the animals here, they have problems,
They can't fend for themselves, or they can't go back in the wild. They can't take care of themselves.
They can
That's
never,
the big
and
thing.
they can never take care of themselves.
No. Nina's about 19 years old, we think. So we have no idea how she lost her arm. Her arm is cut off, and there's a scar in her fur.
Something happened
So
to her.
something like traumatic happened. She was in a circus for 3 years, and here in Costa Rica, and then she lived with a German family for 15 years.
How did they keep her?
She was tied up, and actually she hung out with the dogs, and whether right or wrong, the way they kept her, they loved this monkey. So she was finally confiscated and brought here, very depressed when we first got her. I come down and I hug her, and sometimes she won't let me go, and you can't pry her off of you. So sometimes I'll be down here till 6 o'clock at night in the dark, and she'll be like this, and she won't let me go. You cannot have any kind of exotic animal or indigenous animal without permission. And in order to have permission, you have to have a biologist, a full-time vet.
You have to be a licensed zoo.
They have the laws because that's how we protect the animals. You can imagine if you're a local guy, he makes $500 a month, and he can get $1,000 from selling a baby monkey. Okay, so he takes the baby monkey out of the jungle.
Maybe the mother had died and they got him as a baby.
You're being
or-
kind. Usually
I am
they
being
kill.
kind. I'm Dottie Do Good.
Yeah.
The glasses always have fun
Usually
with
they
me.
kill the mother to get a
kill the
pet
mother
monkey.
to get a pet monkey.
So now you're taking 2 monkeys out of the equation, which is one of the reasons why they're endangered.
Right.
Plus the habitat. Everyone's cutting down the rainforest, so they're losing their habitat.
We were out photographing your monkey bridges, and I've told people about monkey bridges. They can't conceive of what they are. Monkeys were being electrocuted on the wires.
You got it.
Okay.
And being hit by cars.
Hit by cars.
Because they couldn't pass overhead. And we actually found where they were going on the electrical wires. And we cut back the trees so they couldn't jump into the electrical wires again and put a rope there.
That's a
So
genius.
it's pretty easy.
That's a genius technique.
I think because these areas where you have a lot of wildlife and they're getting smaller and smaller, it's not safe. It's not safe to be what you are in the wild anymore. And You know, going to places like Proyecto Esis, it was nice because they were trying to put a face to the animals that were getting killed. Because I think that's what really has strength, is giving the animals an identity.
I have never seen a two-toed sloth up this close.
His mother tried to grab something in the top of the tree and electricity.
The mother was electrocuted.
Somebody shot his mother.
Someone shot his mother.
Took the mother, but left the two babies behind.
These guys need to eat these hard seeds of these hardwood trees.
It shortens their teeth. What happens if the teeth get too long?
They get it stuck in their skull.
It gets stuck in their skull and they die.
Exactly.
Okay, so what happens when they cut down the hardwood trees?
You mean people?
Yeah, when people cut down the hardwood trees, that directly affects the paca.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Right.
everything is connected.
So are these an endangered species, the
Sure.
paca? They are.
Sure. The forest rangers start to bring animals here because they didn't have a place where to bring animals. So there is where the idea of a wild animal rescue center came. But more than a rescue center, is an environmental education center where participants come here and or visitors understand the other face of the rainforest.
Well, I like your concept of education here because you have people come in and you let them touch the animals. And I think I told you there, I agree with you that because these animals are going to be in captivity anyway. They can't be released, okay?
No.
So they might as well have a connection with people, because I think when you touch or feed one of these animals, it makes you feel a certain way and look at the animal a certain way. Oh boy, this is really something. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh my God. I can't believe it, huh? This is just beautiful. Whoa, okay. Alrighty then. Benito Benjamin, I'm sorry. Oh, Benito, I am so sorry. I don't have anything more to feed you, but you're welcome to lick my hands, yes.
I can see why people would have a harder time feeling sympathy for these kinds of animals. I know I certainly did before I came here. You know, I was one of the few who was lucky enough to meet animals like Perla and the raccoon Julia. So, of course, my impression of those animals is now changed. But I would like to see a project that would make that same kind of experience accessible to people who didn't think about it before.
What we do in Costa Rica is to work into sustainable programs.
What do you mean by sustainable products?
I give you one easy example. Instead of cutting one tree and have lumber one time, we take people to the national parks, show that same tree to millions of people and produce a lot of money instead of cutting the tree.
We charge $10 for you to get into the park. We got their time money. We walked around the country looking for area has been damaged by man. We said, hey man, we have this deal for you. Either you sell the land to us or we put you in jail. For 28 years, 32 years, we will take care of that land. Nobody's gonna walk in there to destroy the land no more because that belongs to the government. We have 77 private reserves and 26 national parks in Costa Rica. In 28 years, we can turn 3 or 4 extra parks, national parks in Costa Rica. That's gonna be the smallest country in Latin America with the most parks. And I'm very proud of Costa Rica because of that.
I have to tell you, I've had every level of guide in Costa Rica, and they always had so much information to share, and a pride and a love of what they have in their country. And when you give that information to tourists, okay, we go back home with that. I want to come here as a tourist. This is someplace I want to come and, you know, give my tourist dollars. I love what you're doing here. People take family vacations, right? So what do? They go to some fancy resort, they spend a ton of money. Maybe they have a good time, maybe they don't. Wouldn't it be far better to come to a place like Costa Rica where they can get involved in these projects? Almost everywhere you look, they're giving nature tours or they're telling you there's volunteer projects. I think that it's really interesting for the kids, and I think that's a great way to raise awareness.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, if I'm working behind my desk, you know, and I just want to go on a vacation, I'm not trying to save the world. I just want to sit on my ass and drink a pina colada. Let's be real here.
So today I'm going to volunteer at La Marina. Their objective here is to rescue, work with, and reintroduce many of the animals that are part of the environment here. We're removing the electric fence so that I can go in and feed the tapir. Right.
Okay, right now we are placed within the few in the world, probably second, first on tapir reproduction in the same place. We have 19 birds. You know, all we know is that we feed them, we love them, and we do as much as we can for them, and they do what they have to do, and here comes the baby 14 months later.
This is a very successful macaw breeding program.
There used to be macaws in this area years ago. One day we were by the gas station and there was two guys walking down the road. You see the macaws flying by and one turned to the other, man, look, there is $1,000 flying there. One person can survive 5 months with that amount of money. What we wanted was to have macaws back again where they were years ago. Having babies in natural trees, not in artificial
Nest boxes. Right. This is how you ended up with over 60 birds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they know exactly how to survive.
Well, I can't thank you
Mission
enough.
accomplished.
This is a mission accomplished.
The BBC had come there to film about the tapir breeding program and the scarlet macaw breeding program, and they were so impressed. They knew of a sad situation with a lion. Actually, it ended up being 2 lions in the UK. They actually flew those lions to Costa Rica because they felt that they would get better care here. They donated the enclosure. I think that enclosure was $50,000 or $60,000. So now you have, in that place, you have lions, which are not native to Costa Rica, but you know what? They're living their lives and they're being used for education, and it's an incredible story. Costa Rica is an amazing role model, I feel, for the rest of the world. I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope because I saw these rescue centers. I believe they are making a difference.
10 years ago, our gray-capped squirrel monkeys, they were down to 1,200 in this area, and they are specific to this area. And now, through a concerted effort with Kids Saving the Rainforest, eSave the Power Company, other agencies, there's 3,700 now.
Every time you bring a group of kids there, either to La Marina or Kids Saving the Rainforest or Proyecto, when you bring the group of kids there and you show them the animals, it really makes them think about it. And I think that's a great way to raise awareness. They charge so much money to the parents that want to send their kids here for school credit. For instance, Costa Rica. There are so many programs to come to Costa Rica and be a volunteer. $3,500 for 2 weeks, and and you have to pay for the airfare. And what I've learned since I came down here, the projects don't get the money. These companies should be held accountable. They should have to show how much money that they take from the parents or the volunteer actually goes to the program.
Exactly, yeah.
When you're seeing progress in a society, you're not going to think how that's affecting the environment if it's putting food on people's tables and it's helping them achieve a higher quality of life. You're not going to think about that immediately. You're going to see the effects of it gradually over time, and you know how it ultimately will affect us because we're part of that ecosystem as well. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think we're all fucked. No, I'm serious.
By 2050, the World Wildlife Fund anticipates that all of the rainforests in the world will be lost. That is a really sad thought. Each one of the people that I've profiled in my travels all over the world, whether it be the small farmer, someone running a little inn, or someone that just started a sanctuary, all of them are unique in the fact that they're small, they don't have a lot of funding, and yet to save the rainforests and the animals that live in them is their biggest passion. I look at them and I say, I'm not that, I can never be that, but I can tell their story, and that's what I want to do. I want to go around the world and tell the story.